Hello guys, Ashley here, also the AJ fan back to another review, and today I'm going to talk about my opinion on WWE the years of 2014, 2015, and 2016, and what I think of those years. I want to say I hope I make sure that I talk about everything that I did in 2013. I want to try to leave any things out. Yeah, I think I talked about AJ Lee and Daniel Bryan and everything like that. So let's talk about 2014. Me personally, I thought 2014 was a really big year for WWE. It did kind of chill down a little bit towards the end of the year, but me, I totally feel like a lot of the PLEs were really good. My favorites this year were obviously AJ Lee. She was forever be a favorite. She will forever be the longest reigning Divas champion and the best Divas champion of all time. Her reign was ended by the one and only Paige. Paige went on to have a very lackluster reign, and she wanted to be a very lackluster personality, or whatever the hell they try to make Paige be. Well, at least the one thing I will say that Vince McMahon did that Triple H is failing at is that at least he knew that Paige was a young talent, and they needed to showcase her. At least Vince McMahon knew that. Unless Triple H, who is going to put over Charlotte when Triple Jackson is clearly a young star. But whatever. I absolutely love the Divas division this year. I love that AJ Lee and Paige had their thing going on. It wasn't the best. They didn't have the best matches. Like I said, even as an AJ fan, I can admit that. My favorite match between them was the match at SummerSlam. I thought the match at Battleground was very underwhelming. I will admit that. The Hell in a Cell match is another match for me that I thought was, it was decent. It wasn't the best match. It was decent. I love that they did try to do something with it. For everybody who say that is AJ Lee supposed to be a great wrestler, how come she couldn't make 3 matches worth of Paige? I think that's absurd talk, because there have been matches where John Cena didn't have the great chemistry with everyone, or Randy Orton, Triple H, or any of these other guys, Seth Rollins, and do I hear anyone saying that they're not huge stars because they didn't have chemistry with everyone they were in the ring with? That's absurd to me. I think we're not going to have chemistry with everyone. I never really expected, I was never somebody who, I didn't know who Paige was in NXT, so I never really thought that her and AJ Lee were going to just have this magical chemistry that everyone kind of just had jizz in their mind. I didn't really know who Paige was. AJ Lee, her return on June 30th, 2014 was definitely what the division needed, because it was struggling without her there. So that's what they needed. I did like the stuff with Brie and Stephanie. I did like that. Stephanie definitely carried the feud on her back, because Brie is not a good mic worker. Brie has 0 personality. But it made sense because of everything going on with Daniel Bryan. The match at SummerSlam, I don't really remember it that much. I'm going to just keep it a stack with y'all. I remember Nikki Bella turning on Brie. Oh my god. Definitely gotta talk about that. I remember Nikki Bella turning on Brie, and Triple H came out there and tried to stop the match, and Stephanie went over, and then that kind of didn't go anywhere. There was no continuation. Brie never got her upcoming, and they put her with Nikki Bella, which the Bella Twin feud, one of the most cringiest storylines ever in WWE. One of, the cringiest storyline. I'm gonna say that. I said it. The cringiest storyline. Everything about this feud was so cringy. It was so funny. Every segment that they had, I just couldn't take it seriously. I just remember laughing a lot. Even when I go to something, like say when I need something to laugh at, I always look at that storyline because it's so cringy. Every segment was cringe. The Bella Twins are not good promo workers. They're not good personalities. They're not good on the promo. I'm sorry. Nothing about them makes me want to engage and listen to them. They're really, really annoying on promos. They don't sound authentic on the promos. They don't sound like themselves. That storyline wasn't it for me. I did like the stuff with AJ Lee and Nikki Bella. It was good. They both had great in-ring chemistry. Nikki Bella beat her for the Divas Championship, and Nikki went on to have her long, stale, overdue title reign, which I will get into when we get to 2015. But that was how I felt with the Divas division in 2014. It was actually really pretty good. I love that Rachel Lee came back. She's mother, she's queen, she's everything, and she definitely helped bring the division back because it was dying without her. Everything with the Authority I did like. I like what they feel like they went on way too long. I think when Seth Rollins got injured, they should have ended the Authority there. It didn't make sense to keep that group going if Seth Rollins wasn't going to be there. But I definitely have to say Seth Rollins was definitely the star of the year. He definitely showed out. He was so entertaining. I feel like to me he's the last good Money in the Bank contract winner because they did it right with him. The Shield breaking up, everything about Seth Rollins was just so intriguing that year. This is the beginning of Roman Reigns. It kind of didn't really have much steam, but it was going somewhere. Oh, we know how cringy that was Roman Reigns in 2014 and 15. It gave me PTSD thinking about it. He wasn't that great in the mic. Honestly, I really feel like him winning Star of the Year was absurd. I'm just going to say it. I feel like if anyone deserved it, it should have been Seth. It wasn't going to be Seth, it should have been Brock Lesnar, in my opinion. Which I did love Brock Lesnar this year. I loved all the stuff with him and John Cena this year. So yeah, 2014 was a pretty good year. I did like stuff with Dean and Seth Rollins too that year. It was pretty good. Yeah, just a really good year. You know, a lot of other superstars like John Cena and Randy Orton, you know, they kind of took a back seat to, you know, to the younger guys, which I'm not upset about. But a good year to me. I feel like a lot of the pay-per-views were good. Not a lot of bad things I could say about 2014. Honestly, I thought the Survivor Series match, Team Cena versus Team Authority, I was way too hard on that match because when I look about it now, I think about it, this is actually a really good Survivor Series match because at least there was something on the line. At least it had stakes, and Dolph Ziggler really showed out in that match. And again, that went nowhere with him. The Authority was out of power, but then they botched the storyline in 2015, which I'm going to get to. Sting came back. Sting is really somebody that I never really had attachment to. I didn't watch WCW, and yeah, well, Sting is here. I mean, his return was awesome. It was great. But I don't think they really had any plans for Sting when he came back. So yeah, to me 2014 was a good year. Did lose his team towards the end, yes, but I feel like overall it was a really good, strong year. This is the year that CM Punk walked out of the company, which saddens me to my core because if y'all don't know, CM Punk is actually one of my favorite stars, and it's such that he walked out. But at least he's back. 2015. This year sucks. I don't. If someone was to ask me what years will I have stopped, if someone was to ask me right now, what years of wrestling would you have gone back and stopped watching if you could? I would have stopped watching around 2015, 18, and 2019. I wish that I would have not watched those years, but I was a kid at the time. In 2015, I was definitely a kid, but like around 2018 and 2019, I was just starting high school, and like all I wanted to do when I came home straight from school is watch wrestling. I was waiting to tune in for Monday Night Raw and waiting to tune in to SmackDown, but child, looking back at my 14-year-old self is saying, yes, I want to watch Raw in 2019. But my 22-year-old self right now is telling me that those years absolutely sucked trash. They sucked ass. They were so bad. And 2015 is no exception. I definitely would have not watched this year if I was smarter. This year sucked. Everything about this year sucked. I didn't care for any of the PLEs. Seth Rollins, he was an okay champion. I don't really remember a lot of matches sticking out outside of the Triple Threat match at the Royal Rumble with Seth, Brock, and John Cena. A lot about this year is really forgetful. Like, seriously. The Royal Rumble sucked. WrestleMania 31 was good. AJ Lee left this year. They gave Nikki Bella that long ass title reign for no reason. All she fought was Paige. The Bella Twins were on TV way too much. They brought up Sasha and them from NXT and turned it into women's tag teams, which didn't make any sense. Everyone is a group. It didn't make any sense. It was just matches against each other. It was like no real storylines. A lot about this year is very forgetful. I didn't care for Sting. I thought they didn't have no real plans for him. Steph got injured. Nikki Bella got injured. This year was abysmal. It went off the way too long in my opinion. Then Bryan got injured again and he had to retire the next year. Like, I don't know, 2015 just wasn't it. It was not a good year at all. The forced push with Roman Reigns, I hate to say it, but it was very forced because Roman, he just didn't have the aura. He didn't have the aura yet, he didn't have the swagger yet. It was forced because they could have made him a babyface, but he didn't have to be so cheesy. Like I said, what happened to cool baby faces like Stone Cold and The Rock? What happened to those faces like Kurt Angle, like Triple H, like Undertaker, like Mick Foley? These guys were cool. They were themselves. They weren't so watered down. They tried to make Roman Reigns too watered down, and it just didn't work. A lot of his promos were cringy. Very cringy. Roman Reigns was never a bad wrestler. I feel like he was saying that he couldn't wrestle, like that was a lie. He was never a bad wrestler. Never ever a bad wrestler. But a lot of his promos, very cringe. A lot of his storylines were very uninteresting. I didn't really see outside the fact that Roman Reigns might have had the look, but he didn't have the aura. And I feel like you can have the look, but you gotta have the charisma. He didn't have the charisma. He didn't have the charisma yet. You can teach wrestling, but you can't teach charisma. You can't teach presence. He didn't have the presence yet. Say what you want about John Cena, but John Cena had the aura. He had the presence. And I thought they were trying to force it on Roman, and it just didn't work. And that's why 2015, that Royal Rumble was just so terrible, because they didn't even try to convince you that anybody else can win. So 2015 is just a very bad year. It's a year that I would say that I wish I would have avoided if I was smarter. I feel bad for anybody who was like older than me and watching this year, because honestly, this is one of the worst years ever in wrestling. Like I said, when I go back and like watch old stuff for this year, it's a very, very bad year. A lot of the PLEs are very forgetful. I don't even remember a lot of this year. The only matches I remember from this year that I genuinely liked was the triple threat match with Seth, Brock Lesnar, and John Cena. I liked the match with Seth and Dean Ambrose at Money in the Bank. I thought Money in the Bank was good in 2015. I thought the Paige and Bella match in 2015 was good. Their matches were always good, but they had it was no reason to care about them. They didn't even try to give it a storyline. But her and Paige had great chemistry. I was just so tired of seeing them wrestle all the time. Their matches weren't bad. And I did like the stuff for Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker. Those matches were pretty good. But again, a lot of the PLEs are just very forgetful. A lot of the Raw and SmackDowns are forgetful. Just a very boring year. Very, very boring year. On to 2016. My personal opinion, this is when they pretty much came like the phoenix from the ashes and decided to regain all that shit that they lost, in my opinion. I think Shane McMahon coming back and them splitting up the roster was a great idea at that time. I think that was definitely the problem, is that there was two people on one roster and just not enough of TV time for everybody. Oh, I didn't mention Kevin Owens came on the roster in 2015. You know what? I actually did like Kevin Owens at this time. He was actually entertaining. The only thing he was missing was a character. Outside of that, he could talk on the mic and He wasn't bad, but I think the only thing Kevin Owens was missing, and is still missing, is a character. He has no gimmick, and I feel like he lost all of his auras and his presence that he had years ago, in my opinion. I feel like it's kind of hanging up for Kevin. But 2016. I think Shane McMahon coming back was definitely a great idea, and nothing of the roster was a great idea. SmackDown was definitely way better than Raw in 2016. The reason why I said SmackDown was better was because SmackDown knew how to level their show. I feel like Raw was way too Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho centered. I don't think Kevin Owens was ready to become Universal Champion, in my opinion. I feel like the reason why it was because they didn't have any plans for it. I think if we were supposed to be Seth Rollins, but they wanted to focus on the Seth Rollins and Triple H feud, so they had to find a scapegoat, and they chose Kevin Owens. And then they did nothing with that either when Triple H pretty much helped Kevin Owens win. They did nothing with that. Roman Reigns was in a really terrible feud with Rusev that I didn't care about. I was so tired of Sasha and Charlotte in 2016. Child, I didn't even know what to do. I was so tired of them. I was so tired of their back and forth. I was so tired of WWE trying to force them on us. I was just so tired of it. Yeah, I just think Raw was way too Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho centered, because Kevin Owens wasn't an interesting champion. He was very, very boring. I feel like they nerfed him once he became champion. He just wasn't interesting. I definitely think SmackDown was better. I think the women's division was better. I think the main event scene was way better. I mean, I didn't really like AJ Styles either as champion. I feel like AJ Styles, his push happened extremely way too fast, in my opinion. I feel like AJ Styles wasn't really good on the mic. I feel like he was okay. Like, I didn't mind his presence, but his WWE Championship reign to me is very forgetful. I couldn't tell you 5 things that happened in that reign. Dean Ambrose was a very boring champion, in my opinion. The Miz is a great intellectual champion. The Miz is definitely a great mic worker. So yeah, I mean, they try to force Finn Balor on us this year. I definitely think SmackDown was better. I think SmackDown was better booked around that time. And they had Talking Smack, which was just a good addition to that brand. I mean, and they had Alexa Bliss at that time. If you ask me who was my favorite, probably Alexa Bliss that year. Alexa Bliss, I mean, of course, I'm going to always love Randy Orton and John Cena. You know, Zeph Owens is one of my faves. Roman Reigns is becoming one of my favorites. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I think all around 2016 was a good year. I wish Raw would have had learned to be less Kevin Owens centered, but again, not a bad year in my opinion. I do think it slowed down towards the end, but yet not really a bad year in my opinion. I feel like they did things right by rising up like the Phoenix from the ashes and just splitting the rosters in half, and it was a good idea. A lot of the PLEs weren't bad. To me, I thought it was a good year, but I think a lot of people stopped watching after 2016. A lot of people say 2017 was a terrible year, and me personally, I don't think 2017 was that bad. I think Raw in 2017 was way better than SmackDown. To me, I feel like the only thing SmackDown we had that year in 2017, when I get to it, is probably the women's division. The women's division on SmackDown was very, very entertaining. That I didn't care for Jinder Mahal as WWE champion. I didn't care for the forced push of Shinsuke Nakamura. I was so tired of AJ Styles getting overpushed. I did like Kevin Owens. I thought Kevin Owens was very entertaining. I did like the stuff with AJ Styles and Shane, and I did like the stuff with Kevin Owens and Shane, which I will get into. I wish they didn't add Sami Zayn into it, because I just feel like, what was the point? But I'll get to it when I get to it. I feel like SmackDown 2017 was awful. outside of a handful of couple of things, but I definitely think Raw was better. I think Raw was way better. I mean, we had the Zest and Triple H stuff. We had the women's division. Alexa Bliss, like, hello. Alexa Bliss carried the Raw division on her back around that time. They put Charlotte on SmackDown, which is, thank you heavens. I got so tired of seeing Charlotte. Child, I don't know what the fuck to do. Goldberg came back and him, Brock Lesnar, they got their feud back and going. Kevin Owens finally dropped the Universal Championship to Goldberg, which was like, hallelujah. And Kevin Owens is not young talent. For anyone who said he was younger talent, no. Kevin Owens had to be like at least 38 some years old. That's not young talent, hon. That's not young talent. Yeah, Goldberg might be old, but Kevin Owens is not young talent. Young talent is 20 something, not 38 something. So tired of people talk about young talent. When you're 38, you're not young talent. You've been here for a while. 21, 22, 19, that is young talent. Cora Jade is young talent. Bianca Belair is not young talent, if you catch my drift. Bianca Belair is 31 years old. That's not young. You've been here for a while. In my opinion, that's not young talent. So yeah, I thought 2017 was just a good year. I mean, Roman and Undertaker had their feud. I mean, the WrestleMania match was awful, but they had their feud. Oh, and I forgot The Miz and Maurice versus John Cena and Nikki Bella. That feud was pretty good. I thought that feud was pretty good. I thought the promos and stuff was pretty good. I didn't like how they nerfed The Miz and Maurice in the final segment though with John Cena and Nikki Bella. I didn't like how they nerfed them. Like, they just had The Miz and Maurice just sitting there like real quiet. Like, The Miz is a great mic worker. I don't know. I feel like them having him just stand there. I mean, John Cena, that's one of his best promos, don't get me wrong. You know, he'll talk about what you do flying. He said what you do flying blanks, and I think he called The Miz a pussy. They had to censor it. And he said, I told you years ago to never bring a knife to a gunfight. I mean, it was pretty good, but honestly, I felt like, was it really necessary to bring Nikki Bella and Maurice into this? Like, was it really necessary? They could have had, like, their own... I feel that could have been something that could have been separate around that time. Like, you could have had Maurice and Nikki Bella have their own match. You didn't need to drag them into what John Cena and The Miz had going on. Because that's more like the John Cena and The Miz feud in a mixed tag match feud. In my opinion. I'm saying, oh, Nikki Bella and Natalya, they had a feud. I'm gonna get into everything I remember when I talk about it, but these are all the things I remember from this year that I'm mentioning. But I know Nikki Bella and Natalya had that feud that went on for way too long. It was just a rehash of what Nikki Bella and Carmella tweeting about John Cena and blah 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 blah, blah 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 blah. Like, I didn't care about it. It's boring. It's like, please have Nikki Bella feud where no one is gonna mention John Cena every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes. Can we not do that? It's like Nikki Bella is so boring that they don't know how to mention it. They don't know how to have a feud with her without mentioning John Cena. It's like, it's such a way to get cheap heat. It's like, come up with something else. Get original. But I know there's more. I know I'm just forgetting it, but I will. Oh yeah, there's a lot more that I'm forgetting on the SmackDown women's side, but I will mention it when I talk about years of 2017, 18, and 19. Which I would take 2017 over 2018 and 19 in a heartbeat. So we'll get to it when we get to it. But those are my years. Those are my thoughts on the years of 2014, 15, and 2016. I think 2014 is the best year out of the three, in my opinion. I think 2015 is the worst, and I think 2016 was a good year. I feel like it's overhated a lot. I think the only thing bad about it was that I wish Kevin Owens wasn't the champion. I wish they would have given the championship to anybody else over Kevin Owens. I think that's what made kind of Raw a little bit dreading, is that Kevin Owens was just a terrible champion. He was so boring, and they had to use They had to use Chris Jericho to make him interesting, which Chris Jericho was just goofy. I mean, yeah, you just made the list thing. It was funny, but it was like hella goofy. It's like, I'm going to take this guy seriously as like his bodyguard? Really? Really? Okay, whatever. The tag team division was non-existent really at this time, 2016. In 2017 on SmackDown, it got better with the Usos and the New Day feud. That feud was actually pretty good in 2017. Like, that was actually pretty good. The Usos definitely turned their careers around like 2016, 2017. Because they were just any other tag team, WWE kind of didn't know how to like present them until like 2016, 2017. They got a chance to talk. And they got a chance to show like real personality and aura. And like the Usos were really good. Like they're really good mic workers. When they had a chance to show that, they're really good. So I'll get to all that when I get to it. But thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.